You don't hate doing the podcast. You just think you hate doing the podcast.
I hate scary movies.
But really, you love it.
Do you like scary movies?
You're still afraid.
There is a limit to how much I can take.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
No fear.
What's up?
Hi. Welcome to the Real Fear podcast. I'm Kordell.
I'm Justin.
And I also don't want to do this.
I do want to do this. Very much so want to do this. So you may have noticed that this is coming to you a week later than expected. Can't tell if anyone cares, but we took a week off.
Yeah. Felt sick. No corona. Just tummy troubles. You know, that's it.
Right. I think you were just nervous about watching this movie.
Okay.
That's probably what it was.
That's not what it was, but what is this movie actually about?
Well, so today we're watching Hereditary. It's an A24 film by Ari Aster. It's considered by a lot of internet lists and critics to be one of the scariest movies ever made.
Oh,
it's right up there with The Exorcist level of acclaim.
Oh my
and
gosh,
such. But I would consider it kind of an art house film. So it's more than just your average horror film. It's like very stylized, and I think I told you it's not so much scary as a growing sense of dread and uncomfortableness. Like, this movie will make you uncomfortable.
Already there.
But what it's about, I can't really say without spoilers, because even the trailer, when I watched it when it first came out a couple years ago, did this movie come out in 2018? I think it did. A couple years ago, I couldn't tell what it was about, but I knew that I wanted to see it. It was one of those really weird trailers that's just like, just some weird shots. But some crazy shit happens.
Great. Good. And you've already seen this?
I saw this in theaters once, yeah. So it was, I guess it's been like 2 years, at least. I can't remember if this came out in 2018 or 2016. For some reason, I feel like it's not 2017, though.
What would you think of it when you saw it?
I really liked it. I thought it was very disturbing, which is nice for a horror movie.
Mentally today, I was not prepared for this.
Well, we gave you an extra week to prepare for this.
It just lulled me into a false sense of security, and I thought, like, oh yeah, I'm just go do the podcast thing. But now that I'm here, I'm remembering how much I hate these things.
You don't hate doing the podcast. You just think you hate doing the podcast.
I hate scary movies.
But really, you love it. I feel like the power of suggestion is helping me here somehow.
I have to roll persuasion, buddy.
Just to continue, I don't know, my dice are somewhere around here. Just to continue getting you to come here and do this. It came out in 2018.
2018.
Okay.
Yippee. So it's got good effects. Great. Good. From the preview screen, it looks like someone's drawing a weird bird thing, and there's like a dude. Well, bird thing has a crown. Oh gosh, that person has a hole in their neck. They smoke too much.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's a mole on
how descriptive these drawings are really are the movie, like of the movie.
Oh,
so.
the eyes are scratched. Yeah, this doesn't tell me much,
which is good. You don't need to know much.
See, I just didn't get the gravity at first. Okay, anyway, so I had a question, because I can't remember what movie this is, but I feel like I've seen bits and pieces of it. So there's a little girl in like a yellow like raincoat thing, and she like runs off to the woods, but it's bad to go to the woods because there's monsters there or whatever, and the townsfolk are like stuck in the 1500s. What is that called?
You're thinking of The Village.
Okay, I didn't know. It popped in my head, and I can't remember.
Which is funny because that's I won't say very old movie, but it's a lot older than this movie.
Yeah,
like it came out a long time ago.
For some,
it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
The previews that we were watching of this, and you said that was this dude, right?
Oh, there were previews on this DVD for The Witch.
The Witch.
The Witch.
That movie reminded me of The Village.
That makes sense. They're all kind of very similar. And The Witch will probably... Have you seen The Witch? Probably not.
Mm-mm.
No. But it should remind you of this movie because they're both A24 films. And A24 is a company that's known for their weird art house horror films.
Okay.
Ari Aster, this is his first feature film. And then he went on to do Midsummer. Have you heard of Midsummer?
Mm-mm.
Have you not heard of Midsummer? It was like huge.
I
didn't ask if you'd seen it. Okay, it's a scary movie, but I didn't ask if you'd seen it because I knew you hadn't. But heard of it. You've seen any previews? Do you not go to the movies at all?
I do, but they don't show them in Marvel movies.
Oh, you're probably right. They don't show previews for rated R horror movies in Spider-Man.
No, they don't. Not usually.
No, you got to be going to see horror movies, or at least rated R movies, to get the good previews.
Okay.
The most exciting previews. But anyway, Midsummer was another big one that was all crazy and maybe not controversial, but you either loved it or you hate it.
It was
kind of movie.
What's the word? Divisive
Movie for sure. I could talk all day about Midsummer too, but obviously don't want to give away spoilers.
Are we gonna watch that at some point?
I don't think it's scary enough.
Okay. That's the only thing I felt good about the whole time we've been talking. So.
Really?
It's like, we won't watch that. It's too scary. I'm like, yes.
It's just not scary. It's not scary enough. So we can watch that movie if you want to, but maybe if you really like this movie, I can't decide if you're going to like this movie or not.
Like it in general, or
yeah, like as a story.
Like the Babadook?
Did you like the Babadook? I can't remember.
No, we didn't like that as a story. I
didn't.
think, and Gabe still hasn't told us like what it means. Like we haven't had a conversation about it yet.
I wanted to bring it up when he was on the podcast last week.
Yeah,
but somehow we got on other topics.
Yeah,
we talked for a long time.
Yeah,
but we did not talk about the Babadook.
We should.
But he says it's about grief. Which is just her losing her husband.
Yeah.
And so she's manifested this demon monster, which is her grief. And then the ending where she's keeping it in the basement, she's learning to live with it. Like it never truly goes away, but you learn to control it and deal with it on a daily basis.
I mean,
which I understand the metaphor.
Like, yeah, I get the metaphor. I just feel like you could have done it a lot of. I don't know. Like some of the stylistic choices, I still didn't really like. But yeah, that's just me. It doesn't make it.
It's a personal preference.
Yeah,
I think it makes it worse.
I think it makes it worse.
Right,
but
right, and that's what that's what I told him. I was like, yeah, well, movies can do symbolism and metaphors and stuff, and still have a good story that makes sense.
Right.
In reality.
Yeah, it was just like structure. Like I get the metaphor. Once it's been explained, like I figured it was some sort of something you have to live with. I just couldn't figure out what it was, and the grief makes sense. But
except for the fact that we talked about how we didn't even know her husband,
right? Yeah,
and that's why should we care?
Yeah, that was what was the part about it to me that I didn't like was that like I just didn't care who the husband was. Like it didn't like the grief didn't impact me at all because I didn't learn about anything prior to. We saw like a weird like stylistic like car crash shot, and that was it. And the dude popped up one other time.
Yeah.
And then that was all. And I was like, oh, of course she's grieving her husband. Like we didn't know her husband.
Right.
Why would I know that she's grieving her husband if I don't know who the dude is?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just why I felt that way about it. And then the stylistic choices made it look like the antithesis of the Cat in the Hat. Mm-hmm. So
they're trying to make it look like a storybook, which the Cat in the Hat is.
It is a storybook,
makes
right?
Sense.
And the cat himself represents different things for those kids,
right?
Like
I think maybe the Babadook accomplished what they were trying to do stylistically, but I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I didn't like what they were trying to do. It wasn't fun.
Yeah, it worked, but I just didn't like it. That's all it was, which is okay. We can dislike it just structurally or stylistically. Structurally, I didn't agree with it. I thought those are bad choices, but
The editing choices were bad. They were weird.
Yeah.
The superimposition of shots that they did
Yeah.
was just...
I didn't see any cuts
Jump
and think
cuts were
like,
weird.
oh wow, that's a good cut, like at all. Because some things you see and you're like, yo, that was a cool transition there, like that was cool.
Mike
like,
Flanagan movies are great at transitions.
They
We
are.
watched Oculus.
yeah,
Oculus had some great transitions
Oh.
from present day to past
stellar,
day.
and you caught up quick. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like there was a bunch of transitions and it switched quickly, but you never were lost. Like you knew where you were in time
In each
at all.
story. Yeah.
And that was good. Whereas I don't know. Babadook, I couldn't tell where the hell I was. Like,
Yeah.
like I didn't know where we were.
Yeah. You really need to watch The Haunting of Hill House, which is a TV show, so we can't watch it on the podcast. You're just going to have to watch it as homework.
Oh, gosh.
Because I was told, shit, I wish I could remember who, so many people talk to me about the podcast now, but it may have been either my friend Rachel or my sister Summer. I think it was my friend Rachel told me that I need to get you to watch The Haunting of Hill House. Whether it was on the podcast or on your own, that she said you needed to watch The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
thanks to Rachel and or Summer.
Yeah, I think it was Rachel. I was talking to Summer about it the other day, so maybe why I'm thinking about that. But she was also talking about the podcast, and she wants to be on the podcast. She wants to guest.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm listening to your episodes, and I'm like, I want to take part of the conversation. Like, that's how you know it's a good podcast, when you want to speak to the people
Yeah.
on the podcast. And she's like, wanting to tell stories, like she was talking about your ghost story, and she's like, I wanted to tell the ghost story from when we were kids, and I was yelling at the thing, and I was like, Justin, tell the story, and you didn't do it, and it was really funny.
I didn't know you had a story.
It's not a real story. Okay, I'll tell it.
Okay.
It's just a big setup to tell that story that someone wanted me to tell.
Okay.
Apparently, because it was okay, so it's kind of like a cell phone story like you had.
Okay.
I was like 10 maybe, and me and my cousin were hanging out at the school while my sister Summer had basketball practice.
Okay.
So we were just hanging out while that was going on, and we go out into this hallway that was really dark. It was nighttime at the school, and so the hallway lights were off, and there was this mirror that shows like a turn in the hallway, so you can see both sides of the hallway. And so we decided we're just going to go out there and we're going to do Bloody Mary. And so we just are like filming ourselves with our little flip phones or whatever that we had at the time in junior high, and we were like, Bloody Mary, and we said it 3 times and scared ourselves or whatever, and then went home that night, and me and Summer were going to stay the night at our cousin's house. And so we were doing that, and we were just kind of hanging out, and then my sister Summer got a text message from my cousin Shander's phone, and the text message said 3 times.
Ooh, like number 3 and then times?
I think it was the word 3.
3
times, just written out. And it was from Shander's phone. And Shander was like, I don't even have my phone. And we went and looked for her phone, and it was in her dad's bedroom. But her dad was outside, and he wasn't in his bedroom at the time. But I'm thinking, and so we're like, okay, so someone sent 3 times from Shander's phone to Summer's phone, and nobody even knew that we did Bloody Mary.
Right.
So why would anyone do that, or know to do that, to freak us out?
Ooh.
Shane, who is Shander's dad, my uncle, it's very much story revolves around different family members and characters.
Okay.
But he liked to prank people, and like he's not trustworthy when it comes to that kind of thing. Like, he scared us a lot.
Okay.
And so I thought maybe it was just him, but he didn't know we did Bloody Mary unless he somehow did hear us talking about it or something. Then I thought maybe Shander did it. Shander, at this point, I was talking to her the other day, doesn't remember it happening at all. Like, doesn't remember the story. Me and Summer remember it.
Interesting.
But she doesn't remember hardly anything from our childhood. So it's pretty weird. I'm not sure it's a ghost story. I'm not so quick to believe that kind of thing.
Well, and it also doesn't necessarily match up with the lore of Bloody Mary at all.
Right. Bloody Mary's not real.
Right.
I'll go ahead and say that.
Right.
But I don't know if it was a ghost who was fucking with us because we did Bloody Mary. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
Incantations are a thing. I mean, you can bring things forth into existence.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Anyway.
In the lore of Bloody Mary, she should have shown up and scratched our eyes out and killed us and stuff. Right.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was just scratches or whatever.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. It's been a minute.
I've only seen the horror movie version.
Somebody send me some lore about Bloody Mary. Give me something.
Yeah.
Send it to the Facebook message, and we'll look at it.
Yes.
Yeah, we should have more interaction on our Facebook. We should get some people to give us some things. Not give us stuff like we asked for that one time.
No,
but just like
we
suggestions.
still want stuff though, right? like we're not saying we don't want the stuff.
I'm not saying don't give things, but I'm just saying
Also, give us suggestions
and stuff
and
to read
stories.
and Tell us your ghost story. Give us one.
Yeah, tell us your ghost story and we'll read it on the podcast. That'll motivate some people.
Yeah, Will.
To interact with us.
Well, I'm genuinely interested. Yeah, I do want to hear some more
I would
ghost
love
stories.
that.
Those are cool. Yeah, I like that.
I love ghost stories. I don't hardly believe very many of them.
I believe
but
all
I think
of them.
they're fun.
They are fun. They're fun regardless. Whether you believe or not,
Yes.
they are fun. Okay, I guess I'll just start having a bad time now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hereditary. Oh, by the way, I was going to mention, since we're talking about the Babadook, Hereditary is, like, when I was saying that you can have movies that are metaphors for grief that actually make sense and are a good story. That's what I think this movie is.
Okay.
I think it's also a metaphor for grief
Okay.
and depression and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
But I think it makes sense as a movie. The ending is a little weird, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Why? Wait, real quick. Why in the Babadook? So Hereditary. If just based off what you're saying, like metaphor for thing, Hereditary. Passed down through the family makes sense. Title makes sense with the ideas. Okay. What the hell does Babadook mean?
Babadook. No fucking clue.
Right? Like, is it a play off some sort of weird German lore? Like what?
Where does the word Babadook come from? It's got to be something.
It's got to be something, or they just made it up. And if that's the case, I disagree with it more because you could have made up anything else that would make it make more sense.
Oh, that would make it make sense. I was going to say, to make it scary, though, the Babadook's a pretty scary word.
Babadook?
Yeah. Which is when you say, like, Babadook, cook.
Yeah,
that's scary.
But if you do that to anything, it's scary.
I don't know. Say
Kordell Young.
Yeah, don't like it. I don't like it.
It's not as scary.
I don't like it.
But
let's get related.
let's get hereditated.
Let's get hereditated.
You want a book drink?
I would love a book drink. What do we got for the book drink today?
It's still just brandy until we run out of brandy.
Yeah, brandy. Ooh, brandy. I love that book. It's my favorite thing. I feel like good horror movies really lure you in with a regular story.
Yeah.
That's why Babadook got on my nerves.
See?
It did.
That's why Babadook got on my nerves too. This is like the Babadook, but better, and nothing like the Babadook.
It's exactly the same except for in all the ways that it's
Except
different.
it's not the same at all.
Scrapbooks are just better. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Then albums?
Than pictures on your phone.
Oh,
Always.
yeah, for sure.
Scrapbook. There's something about just the pictures all together in one place, physically, and it's just better. This one is not Pepper Potts.
She doesn't look anything like Pepper Potts.
Doesn't look anything like her.
That's Toni Collette. You ever seen her in anything else? Are we reading this?
I don't think so. Sacrifice will pale next to our rewards. It's a weird thing to say.
Grandma was weird. Clue.
Ooh.
Oh my god!
Ooh, already, I don't like it. Yo,
It's like Lights Out.
that was way too fast to be throwing grandmas in there.
Throwing grandmas in there.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a doozy. Oh my god.
You have no idea yet the shit we are going to see.
Justin,
I told you, some people say it's the scariest movie ever made.
what have you done?
We had to watch
That was
it.
immediate, but creatively. Grandma's in the. Well, okay, this makes sense. That's gonna be how the story's told. So they're gonna
Through
use
miniatures.
this all the time,
Yeah,
and it's gonna get
because
on
she
my
paints them.
last nerve.
Oh, you don't like it?
Mm-mm.
I kind of like the little people in their little houses.
No, because they're gonna be doing something crazy, and you look over and oh, there it is. Or they're gonna be doing something crazy, and you look over and it's oh, it's not there. Oh, it's actually closer. Fucking. Look at that. Good cut.
That's a good cut. You could cut on the sound of her.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking at the scissors.
I was saying, why are you looking at them scissors?
She's eating chocolate a lot, and it's making me hungry. Which is weird because we're looking at a dead bird. Oh god.
Would that work that way? Yeah, probably.
I think it's pretty easy to cut through a bird's neck.
Dude, okay, you put the scissors back in your pocket. But why? Or a triangle.
Why is the triangle there?
Whose room is that?
Is it her grandma's room? Or her mom's room?
I just don't trust those kind of locks. Keys that big.
Keys that big. Really easy to pick. I'm
Real
sure.
easy to pick. I mean, it's like literally 2 prongs. You just pop,
Yeah.
pop, good to go.
Yes.
Pop, pop. Shout out Kelsey, because she does it all the time. Pop, pop. Don't those like ties around your fingers supposed to help you remember things? You know what that's supposed to be? It's like, oh, just remember whatever.
Oh, he's like, oh yeah, this string helps me.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she just write it on her palm? Like everybody else. How old is his sister? Is she in high school?
Definitely not.
I feel like she could be maybe 14 at the oldest.
Tops.
Yeah. But then she might be a freshman, but I feel like all the kids in her class were younger.
Yeah.
So she shouldn't be going to a high school party.
What? What music? Oh, that. Okay.
What music? Tell us what.
Music? What do you want? Okay, that's what it is. That makes sense.
There it goes.
Just a click.
Charlie! I need what?
She doesn't want to go.
Good.
The mom's forcing her to go. He doesn't want her to go.
Great.
He was told to bring his dick, not his little sister.
We don't even know if he has that on him. He
Yeah.
might have left it.
He forgot.
You never know. And she's in the back seat. Girl, ride passenger. What are you doing?
Not your chauffeur.
Right, bro. I'll swear, if my brother gets in the back seat and it's just me and him, boy.
Maybe she's not allowed to ride up front.
I hope that he has no seatbelt on and I'm gonna slam on the brakes. Is that like part of how she looks, or is that like a makeup thing?
Saying tinted like the color?
Yeah, like there's like a darker triangle on her forehead, and I don't know if that's just how she.
I thought it was like a dip in her forehead.
And that
the way
could
it was
be
shaped.
like a shadow,
Yeah.
as opposed to like.
Yeah, Charlie.
I feel like you're gonna see that on the camera. Like,
Is your sister hot?
is your sister hot?
She is
I actually
not
started
hot.
drawing you last week.
That is a negative. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So how much? So what we guessing? Like 16 and 14, or 17, 14, something like that. 17, 15 tops.
Could be. No way. I'm gonna guess 14 tops. I'm thinking maybe 13, like she's still in 8th grade.
Okay, so 13 for her, and how old is he?
16?
16,
He's driving
17?
at least.
Gotta
So
be.
17, 16 or 17.
Are you driving to a hospital or like a desolate? Or are you just gonna bury her in the desert?
I think they're just already in the middle of nowhere. He's got to drive back to
Okay.
civilization.
Man, that's a lot of nowhere.
Yeah, did you not have a cell phone? I mean, he does have a cell phone. He should have called for an ambulance.
Yeah, honestly, I saw your mom's iPhone earlier. You could have just
Yeah.
called 911. It's because he was high.
Oh, yeah.
Dude!
I was so excited for you to see this part.
Dog. You fucked all the way up.
My mouth stayed open for so long when I saw this the first time in theaters. Like, what the fuck just happened?
He's not even
He can't
looking.
look. He
I
can't
li-
look.
I like the camera movement.
I can't remember where it says, "I'll go." No, you can't look. Can't look at that.
You're in so much trouble.
Trouble, yeah.
I would have been in so much trouble. My parents would have killed me too. They would just, you know what? We're gonna wipe the slate clean. No more kids.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure she's fine. She just needs to sleep it off.
Walk it off, girl. Come on. You're good to go. Don't be a baby.
When I had asked if you'd seen anything about this movie, I was really worried that you had seen memes
No.
about that have been going around that show her sticking her head out of the car,
Yeah.
and then 2020 is the
The
poll
poll. I
that
have
hits her
not. Even if
because
I
of
did,
like
I-
2020 sucks.
I would not have.
Wouldn't have understood it.
Yeah. I mean, like, you gotta deal with it at some point. Yo, where's your sister?
He didn't go to sleep at all. She found her. And just let her find her.
Well, I mean, also there's some of her face at least on that pole, but I see the whole head is gone.
Yeah, it's on the side of the road. She just found her beheaded, the body of her beheaded daughter in the car.
That's some good acting right there.
Honestly, it's very realistic.
It's very good. Very good. Oh, and it continues. Very good cut.
Very good camera movement too.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Ooh, look at this
Dun,
cut.
dun, dun,
What's
dun.
gonna happen? Ooh, look at that effect.
You really just gotta dig a hole there and put the camera in it.
You're right. That's it.
It's like so easy, but it's
Yeah.
so cool.
You also gotta find patches of grass that green.
Right. I think color grading probably helps with that.
Oh, absolutely. But then you gotta get sunlight that's not washed out.
Oh gosh, you're right. It's a lot of work. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's a lot of work.
Are you doing better?
No.
After your mother?
No.
No, that's not.
Absolutely
She's like,
not.
you don't understand, you stupid bitch.
My daughter was killed. Oh.
If I was Joan, I'd be beginning to think like, maybe she's lying and is just coming here for attention.
Would you like to?
Because what are the odds?
Or we could even just have a coffee. I'm sorry, really.
I forgot
I
something.
really did forget something. My son died.
You be expositioning the hell out of people.
Well, my son died. Get out. Get out of the car. We're coming in. Get in, loser. We're grieving.
That's all. My son and my grandson drowned.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Get in, loser. We're grieving.
Coming here for a couple of months now.
What was her name? June?
Joan, I think.
Joan? Appreciate you, Joan.
What a nice lady.
Way to go, Joan. You ain't even gonna ask what movie she saw? What was it?
It's like, what is even out right now that you want to see at a time like
Where
this?
is a movie theater? Show me. Because I've seen nothing but nothing. His reflection smiling, and he is not.
No, that's not possible, Kordell.
God, I hope not.
He must be smiling.
Yes, Peter. Sorry, I have to. Of course, take the pass.
Take the pass. Okay, he took it.
Well, if it gets stood up that fast, dog, you go without the
You
pass.
go, you hurry.
Go with my blessing, actually. Well, that probably wasn't what the art guy was
Probably
asking
wasn't
for
important.
anyway, so whatever.
It looked more like what the art was probably wanting than what she'd been doing.
Hmm.
Like just models of her house and family.
Right. I made a model of my dead mother. You want to see it? No.
You
no,
like?
ma'am.
Yes.
Please,
It go
no.
in show.
You like? You take. You take.
You pay me now. Thank you.
Yeah, you send money. I'd be back. You send money. Why she gets oddly foreign and like oddly misunderstanding.
I don't know why they need such a big house.
Honestly, like, what did they like? How much money is she making off these art galleries?
Yeah, and if he works in, did we decide he worked in billing? Because
Yeah, some sort of finance.
maybe he makes a lot of money through that. I guess.
Well, and like being an art, I will say, in Sims, the artist is one of the most lucrative jobs you can have.
Well,
Because you can
I
just
guess it can-
paint
in
and
life-
get like instant money.
in life, it can be either the most lucrative jobs or you can be a starving artist.
Yeah.
But apparently, she's making some money.
One or the other, honestly. Nah, I wouldn't.
Oh my gosh! Damn, that's good stuff. Holy shit.
Woo! Boy!
Oh boy! It turned into a ball. Who's that?
That's the dog.
Has it always been there?
Yeah, that dog's always been there.
I don't
That was
remember
in
there
the
being a
beginning.
dog in this movie.
There was a dog. Oh, boy, you got your head. Where them arms coming from?
Whose arms are those?
Breaking them arms off.
Are those Charlie? Oh,
Damn, it shut the door in the doggy's face.
What's wrong, baby? What's happening?
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You were pulling on my hand.
No, I wasn't. I just came in. You were
no, I wasn't. I just came in. It seems like something she would do, though.
Also, pull on head, like,
here. I would never.
that's got to come from a different angle, dog.
She was behind him earlier.
She can't get behind him.
She was under the bed.
She was under the
pulling
bed.
from up here. More than your mother's headless body. He doesn't believe her at all.
Nope. Burn the book then.
He's gonna burn the book because he doesn't believe that anything's gonna happen to her. Probably.
It needs to be me. It's my fault. It's my fault. No, it's my fault. Please. Please, I need you to throw it in the fire. Please, I can't.
Seems very like even if she's wrong, it's of little consequence if he throws that book into the fire.
Yeah. And the book just burns and she's proven wrong.
Yeah. Worst case, she's crazy. Well, worst case, she's not crazy.
Worst case, she burns to death.
Yeah. Best case, it's just whatever. I get skeptical husband is skeptical, but like you married her, you know what you got into.
Well, that doesn't mean he has to go along with her crazy.
Does not.
He's probably been dealing with it his whole life, or since they've been married.
But like, yeah, if he's been dealing with it, he's like, all right, fine, I'll do the thing.
Who was he emailing earlier, I wonder?
So what?
Who was he emailing about her earlier, I wonder? Like a therapist, or...
Let me see it.
He was like, I'm afraid she's on the verge of, or in the middle of, don't know who it was, though.
Oh, God.
That was unexpected.
The light pulse
Another-
look normal.
Another unexpected turn.
Good golly!
Change of events.
Never would have thought it.
Like, Peter, wake up, your dad's on fire.
What even is that? Like, what even?
Oh, it was in the frame for so long. Just
Was it?
then.
I
Yes.
literally just saw it when it left.
I know, it was in the whole last frame.
I
It stayed there for so
had
long.
no idea.
It was there the whole
I
time.
never seen it. Wow.
I didn't see it until like halfway through. But I've seen this before.
Oh, someone up in the corner!
Got it right away that time.
Yeah, I seen her that time. Them legs was not usual. What?
Yeah, this is where it gets weird if it wasn't already.
Nas? Yeah, it's weird. Ooh, Spider-Mom's not there. Oh, she was in the other corner! Bro, how'd you know to run?
Yeah, why is she chasing
I didn't
after
see you. Didn't see her. There's no way you saw. I didn't see her. There's no way you saw her. Up the thing.
Oh, she's just putting you in there.
Smart. I think.
Oh, wait, no, he raised it. I thought she raised
Yeah,
it.
he pulled it. What even?
That's nice.
That banging was.
Her head attached to the ceiling.
Bro. Don't. Oh, the little light. Oh,
Going inside him?
Oh, it's inside him.
Oh, damn, it went inside
That's
him.
not good.
You know what that means.
But why is he naked? I just don't get it. I don't get the naked.
But that's hereditary. That's what I like to say. I had forgotten a lot of stuff from that movie.
It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very highbrow movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of, like, obscure references and stuff like that. Yeah, it was. It wasn't as just outright scary as I thought it was gonna be.
I mean, I tried to tell you.
But I see. Maybe it's because it's both of us here that it wasn't just like a looming sense of dread at all times. But I was surprised. Like, not necessarily scared.
None of the.
But that, like, look, the head roll, I didn't control what came out of my mouth.
That part was crazy.
That part really got me. I was like, what? Yo! Like, what?
I
Like,
feel like that part is going to make a great thumbnail for the
Oh
video.
my
Because who knows what we were doing.
like,
Although it wasn't really a jump scare.
It wasn't, but
so it's
it
just kind of like
was,
a what the fuck?
That was, look, I feel like if they did it like this, if they wanted to, like, just be absolutely horrifying, they could have been. They could have went way harder, I feel like. They could have just been, like, because, like, the editing and, like, all that stuff, like, they could have got way more grotesque.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely could have, but they didn't.
I don't know about, like, grotesque. There's some grotesque stuff in this movie.
There is, like the head fall, but, like, that same sort of effect, they could have done that, like, 11 times.
Right.
Like, easily. They could have done anything like that.
I think it's all about moderation.
It is moderation.
Or it just becomes a... It wouldn't have been as good of a movie. It would just become like
if they just
gore.
leaned on those ridiculous effects.
Yeah, it'd just be
But
like a gore movie, like any
like
other.
Whoever was
Hustle.
writing this was smart enough to put it together. Like, they could have put it together in a way that was, like, far more terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could have inflicted terror because they were smart.
Right. They did a lot of creative things.
Yeah, they did.
Ari, I think his name is. I don't know if it's pronounced Ari or Ari. I really should have figured that out. But anyway, Ari Aster, he's the director and writer. And I think he probably didn't do that because he actually says that this is not a horror movie.
That makes sense.
He likes to tell people that it's not a horror movie.
I can see why he would say that.
He's wrong, in my opinion.
And
also, everyone, like, it's classified as a horror movie. He doesn't have any control over that.
I think that he's right. It's not.
You don't think this is a horror movie?
It's not necessarily because, like, I feel like he was pulling punches. Like, he could have made it way scarier.
Well, yeah, that's why I said that. Like, he could have made it scarier, but that's not what he was intending.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think that it's not necessarily a horror movie because he could have went way harder. He's
But
like,
I think
I wasn't trying to scare you.
Even though he didn't intend to scare people
No,
necessarily,
it
or he didn't go out that as his goal, I think he did. I think it's a scary movie. But parts of it are way scarier than some horror movies, you know.
It is
way scarier than Grave Encounters.
Like, dude, that beginning part, like the grandma standing there, I was like, "Yo,
the grandma standing there."
This is starting early, and it was surprising. Like, I was not prepared. Like, everything he did, it hit me with surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't outright fear that I felt, but like everything like shocked me that happened in this movie. I was like, what? Like, it was like, I don't know.
Played a big part of it.
Yeah, it wasn't outright fear though.
Right, I agree. It was not as much scary as was, but like I was just thinking, horror movies. What is the definition of horror? Because I feel like her getting her head beheaded from that light pole or whatever is horrifying.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
It's not scary.
Yeah.
But it's like horrifying thing to happen, and like the whole situation is just horrifying.
Yeah.
So that in that way I would consider it horror, but maybe not in the typical
No, not in the typical like I'm here to scare you sense.
Right.
But this movie was definitely like meant to mean something.
Right.
And I'm sure that there's like a lot of analysis on what this possibly is, which
lots of essays written.
I'm interested in. Like, I want to know what other people think this is really about. Because I mean, to use like a Eighth King of Hell, like that's like from the Apocrypha, and that's like, you know, lost books of the Bible type, and that's like, or from Dante's Inferno, where you have like, you know, 9 layers of hell and stuff like that, like, you know, and to name the king of that particular realm and what does that mean and all this other stuff, and like the imagery that happens with it, and like how is that tied in. Like, it's a very interesting. I think this is a very good movie.
I think it's a very good movie too, and I think that horror movies don't necessarily have to be that scary to be a really good movie.
Like, the shock value alone, like, I just feel like if he wanted to scare you, aside from the imagery that's placed, right? Like other horror movies that we've seen, that I've seen with you rather, is like that. Like, there's like intensity put here, and there's like, here's a musical score to go along with it to aid in like the intensity of what you feel, and like going for like a reveal, and like a startle or something like that. But like, this one didn't necessarily try that.
There's a little bit of that. Remember that time that she was walking out in the field, and you're like, "What music? What?"
Yeah,
because like it hadn't shown you, but the music was telling you that something crazy was happening.
And but like it served a purpose to a degree, in that, like, okay, so this is a little girl's spirit that has went into this boy's body. She was like, I never felt like I was a boy. Like, it's like it means, like, the whole thing means something different than what it is on the surface value of it or whatever. It's like at first glance, there's more to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I appreciate that. Like,
that's something
that's interesting.
I really like it too, and I think that it's not as rare in horror movies as people think, because people who don't like horror movies generally, think of them as one way, you know, like just gore, or maybe just there to scare you. Like Gabe was on, and he said that Get Out was a good film because it was more than just a scary movie, more than just out to scare you. Yes. And I was trying to say that, lots of the good horror movies do that, because I'm not a fan of all horror movies. Right. But there's like a lot of movies that are like, have great characters, great story, and more than just, and like the scares are kind of like second to the drama, second to the plot. Yeah. Which like makes them really interesting and sometimes scarier, because it makes the scares more realistic, I think. Right. Like in this case, since the story was so raw and real, that like...
I mean, by the end, it was realistic. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. But it's not. I'm not saying it's realistic all the way through.
But I feel it led up to something, and it gave, even though I may not quite understand the meaning, like, I know there was a meaning behind it, whereas like Grave Encounters, I don't know, like, so what? Like, at the end,
we're just gonna shit on Grave Encounters.
Like, not to shit on Grave Encounters.
Like, we did it a little bit last time, but Gabe's not here this time, so we're just gonna do it some more.
We all agreed that the ending needed work. They needed to do something else in the ending, but like, this one equated to something, and it's just like there's layers in it that you gotta like sift through if you want to figure out what that was.
Right. And I think this movie accomplished something that the Babadook was trying to do. Yeah. Deep and meaningful, like, kind of thing.
Yeah, like the grief that was felt here, like, was in fact grief, but that wasn't its overall goal. Like, the overall, I don't know what this movie's goal was, but I know there was one.
Yeah, and I've seen it twice now, but I still couldn't really tell you what its thesis is, if that's what what it's trying to make us feel or think.
Like, I'm not sure what the overall... But, okay, so from what I understand, the story is this grandma was in a secret organization. Uh-huh. And they do seances and stuff like that. And so after her death, she influenced people in her organization to enact something that was going on. Like, that's probably why Charlie was her favorite. Because she felt that Charlie had some sort of more, like, spiritual connection, like, more so than, like, what's his face? Peter. Yes. And so her whole goal and the organization's goal was to enact this, like, pagan god and or demon of hell, like, king of hell rather. And so that's what she did once she died, and that's what what's her face was there for. And so the whole thing, like, she felt like Charlie was that spirit.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Like, she not only thought that she, like, she thought that she was like him reincarnated, like the actual spirit, and that's why. Like, I don't know. Did the mom say that she named her? Like she let the grandma name her because the grandma like raised her, like she fed her, breastfed her, and everything.
Sunk her teeth, like her claws into.
So I don't know. Like she named her Charlie, which is a unisex name, but
it is
like more often heard of as a male name, and so that could have something to do with like her name being Charlie and.
Yeah, like
her saying that she wishes that she was a boy or that she should have been a boy.
Yeah,
the grandma thought that because she knew that she was the demon or whatever from hell.
Right.
That he wanted to be a male.
And so so the grandma, to a degree, like spiritually orchestrated this to happen through the,
because I guess she was like the leader
of the mom. Right. But I mean, I don't quite understand why the mom had to do all that. Maybe it's some sort of like Judas hanging type of reference or something or another, like something like that, like, and the tree
why
house.
The mom had to like behead herself and stuff.
Yeah, and like if that had actually happened, like what was the mom's deal? Like, all the supernatural parts don't make total sense, but I feel like with a little bit of research it would. And so I guess that's what I sort of like about it, is that it makes you want, like, it makes me anyways want to be like, okay, well, who is this 8th demon of hell or king of hell or whatever, and like, what is his whole deal? Like, are headless people just his thing or whatever? Like, why are the eyes cut out? What does that mean? Like, there's more.
I still don't know what that means.
Yeah, I like it. It would take like someone well smarter than me to figure out what that is. But
this would have been a fun movie to have seen while I was still in film school and like write paper on and stuff.
Oh yeah, no.
I think I probably was still in school when it came out. It came out in 2018, but I don't remember what month because I graduated that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. This is like the type of movie that people do write things about, and so like it, but like it was just really well shot. Mm-hmm. Like all the cuts, all the transitions, like everything was really well done. I don't know. As far as like scary score,
oh yeah, let's do it. Let's go ahead and rate it on the fear score and explain yourself.
See, the thing is, I wasn't that scared, but like I was surprised by everything it tried to do. Like everything it tried to do got me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily trying to scare me, I feel like.
No, I don't think, like the director said, the movie isn't trying to scare you. If it's scary, that's kind of just like a side thing. Like, okay.
I feel that. Like, I feel that it is like a side. Okay. Gosh, that makes the scoring really difficult. Because I wasn't scared. Just everything surprised me. I was like...
Well, you don't have to, even if you score it really low, it doesn't mean you didn't like really like the movie or love the movie.
That's right.
It's just that it wasn't scary.
It wasn't scary. So like, no.
And I don't even considering, like
you see the ant on the little thing.
I do. Yeah. It's a pretty good touch.
And I wonder why the ant's there. Like, there's just like layers to this thing.
But I don't even know what I'm
even a drawing of herself, right? It almost mimics like a third eye type thing going on, like
on her forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Like the extra line there is like done on purpose. I feel like to indicate like sort of an awakening, like a third eye type deal. I don't know.
Or could it be talking about the dent in her head, which she actually just
also
has.
That, yeah.
But you're right. It's probably deeper than that.
Yeah, I mean, based off how this movie was looking and playing
into
around
everything.
I mean, I think this was a really good movie. Like, it was well shot. It was well done. Like, all the acting was fucking superb. Like, it was really good. But I wasn't scared by it.
That's the divisive thing about this movie is people are either saying it's the scariest movie ever made or that it's not a horror movie, which is two completely separate opinions, and
I don't know what to call it. Like,
I can kind of see both sides, although I do think this is a horror movie, and I would argue with someone who says that it's not really.
I would say it is a horror movie.
Right.
But, like, I would have to know the truest definition of horror to sort of, like, label it like that. I feel like, trusting your advice about horror movie, like, I think that it is horror movie. Like, it is...
Like, talking about the definition of...
Yeah,
that it's not necessarily fear, but...
Yeah, like, horror not necessarily... I mean, I don't know. Can horror mean not fear? Like,
I don't really know.
Is horror like an advanced version of fear, or is horror like a different feeling altogether? Like, is it the mix that this movie's going for of like just raw surprise and like confusion and like, well, what? But like not like unnecessary confusion, like deliberate, like I'm deliberately confusing you. Like it's like I'm not letting you be stable type.
I'm still just trying to think of what the definition. I mean, we could look it up.
Yeah,
but like the definition of horror, like if you see a dead body or something, that's
horrified.
horrifying.
Yeah.
But you're not scared necessarily, or in fear of your own life, or in fear for anything. You're just like, I'm horrified at what I'm seeing, and that's kind of this movie. You're just horrified at what you're witnessing the whole time.
Yeah.
But not necessarily afraid of it.
Yeah, you're horrified but not afraid, but I don't know that's...
Stephen King had a definition for it, but I didn't agree with his, I don't think, either. He says some things sometimes.
He does say some things sometimes. An intense feeling of fear, shock, or disgust. If we're basing it off of that, I was shocked
disgust
the entire time.
For sure.
A bad or mischievous person, especially a child. A horror. That's funny. Humorous, used to express dismay. Intense dislike. An attack of extreme nervousness or anxiety. A bad or mischievous person, especially a child. Interesting. So I would say by the first definition of horror, an intense feeling of fear, shock, or disgust. It's specifically a list.
Fear, shock, or disgust. So
I would say
either of those things.
that this movie is a horror film in that it is very, very shocking. But I would not say that it immediately elicits fear. Like it doesn't... Like I wasn't afraid. Mm-hmm. I was shocked the entire time. But our fear scale is not really on shock; it's on fear.
Right, that's the whole point. It's real fear, not real shock.
I mean, like as far as fear goes, I'd give it like a 4, like a 3 or a 4.
Whoa, that's low.
It is low. It didn't. I wasn't scared. I was just shocked the whole time. I'll give it a 4.
Okay, all right. Interesting.
I wasn't afraid of this movie.
I understand that, but you gave Grave Encounters a 6.
I was more afraid of Grave. It was more uncomfortable.
Really? Okay.
Like
interesting.
Like, cause when I saw her head fall off and it turned into a ball, I was like,
that wasn't scary to you?
Yo,
I was so fucking scared
when it fell. But then I immediately saw it was a ball.
Yeah,
I was no longer afraid.
No, I guess not afraid. I
was just scared. Like it didn't like the illusion didn't last long enough for me to feel fear. Right? Let's say that her head fell off and it was a super head cool there. Effect. Oh, it's so cool.
It's way better that it's a ball than her head.
It cuts back
so neat
to his face and his shock, and it cuts back again and it's a ball now. That's
the editing. They had the roll off and it was a ball.
So good. It was a ball. It was just a ball.
Much better.
And I saw quickly that it was a ball, so I was no longer afraid. So it just turned into shock. Like the shock didn't have time to turn into fear. I feel like. Mm-hmm. Like the initial shock of a lot of things that are scary is like I have to register like, oh, this is still happening. Oh, this is scary now. It just shock. Like that was it.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, what you think was not happening anymore. Like it cut off. It cut away from like a lot of the scarier elements that it could have leaned into. Continued. That's what I'm saying. Like it never leaned into the scary pieces.
You're right.
So that's why I say it was just shocking. Like I said, like the words that came out of my mouth when her head rolled off were not my own. I was like, whoa, I didn't control yourself. It, but it was immediately wasn't fear anymore. I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, wow, like it was just shocked me. So I'd say it's still a horror movie. I just wasn't scared by it. Because it wasn't like I said, like I feel like he was pulling punches, man. Like he could have really scared some people. That shit could have been scary. Like for instance, the episode of Black Mirror where they create the scariest game possible. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen all of Black Mirror, but I don't know offhand what you're talking about.
So it's a dude. He's like longer blonde hair. He's like kind of scraggly, whatever. And he's like being a test subject for a video game, and the video game is to simulate the scariest game possible. And he just keeps getting afraid. Like it traps him within the reality of him being scared. And so it like leads to like just like a jump scare. It's like, oh my gosh, like, okay, that was scary or whatever. And then it's like a giant spider with his mother's face, and he like wakes up and he's like, oh, it's fine, it was just a dream. And his mother died, and then it's like his mother's face is there with like a spider. Like it's like it just continues on, and it just gets scarier and scarier for him to the point that he dies. And like that episode of Black Mirror is scary. Like
I don't remember that at all.
That's the thing.
That's crazy. I swear I've seen all of it. You remember the name of it? Or you should find out the name of it for me eventually.
I'll find out the name of it
and let me know because I need to watch that again.
I was like, oh.
You know what I'm talking about, like the movie like Bandersnatch, right? Because that didn't sound anything like it, but it sounded a little bit like the video game portion of it. Because like that movie is a video game almost. Did you watch Bandersnatch? Is that what it's called? But also, I really like the fear, disgust, shock definition of horror.
Yeah.
But like, I found Stephen King's bullshit, which he breaks terror down into 3 categories.
Okay.
The gross out, horror, and terror.
Okay.
So he considers horror like one of the 3 stages of terror. And he says the gross out is the sight of a severed head tumbling down a flight of stairs, or slimy spatters against your arm. I can't help but think of movies like The Thing or Hellraiser, blah blah blah. It's like what makes you say yuck. So that's the gross out. The horror is the unnatural. Spiders the size of bears, the dead waking up and walking around. It's when lights go out and something with claws grabs you by the arm. In other words, when chaos takes control, horror triumphs. Terror is the last and worst one. When you come home and notice everything you own has been taken away and replaced by an exact substitute. It's when your lights go out and you feel something behind you. You hear it, you feel its breath against your ear, but when you turn, there's nothing there. I feel like he's just talking. That just doesn't... Those things don't actually fall into real categories.
Well, I feel like he's
just giving
talking
examples.
more so like literally, like in a literary sense. Like he's talking about like just like the human experience of feeling more so as like trying to portray that feeling in movies. Like I feel like it's just different. Like cause Stephen King was a writer, he just and so when you're feeling those feelings, like sure, if it's like a real human experience, sure that definition makes sense. But when you're just watching a movie, that like the lens is different. Like the lens of a movie, it can do different things. It can subvert reality. It can do more than just just terrify you or horrify you.
Right.
Like the movie categories I feel like are different. Like Stephen King doesn't specialize in movies, so I don't really.
Well, he specializes. He's talking about, like you said, literary, and I feel like they're almost the same kind of genres, like book wise,
right,
and movie wise.
Well, the reason I say that they're different and that he's talking more literary is that whenever he writes these words, the pictures that the words paint within your own mind are only up to you. Whereas a movie, you have the like physical viewings of someone else's mind and the actors available and everything. That's like, it's a lot more tangible. So like the horror of a movie is different than the horror that a horror novel portrays. Like the images in your own head that you create while reading are of course going to be far more intense than what you see on the screen.
Yes.
What you see on the screen is going to be subjective.
Right.
Whereas when you're reading a horror novel, it's also subjective, but it's only your experience. Only you have that in your head, and that's what makes that shit scary.
Right.
That's what makes that terror. Like when you're reading the passage and you're really imagining those like Lovecraft, right? Lovecraftian, like out of this world monsters that you could never portray on screen. Like you can't get that kind of scary when you like have a physical representation. When someone else's mind puts that on screen, that's one thing. But when you are imagining it yourself, it could be as bad as you possibly can imagine. So it's automatically different. That's why I say Stephen King's definition, like, while accurate, is not what movies are. Right. If that makes sense to viewers and you. like what Stephen King is talking about is like what your imagination can come up with, whereas the movie is just a physical representation, and that limits things, because it's not my imagination. I'm not imagining that lady's body running around. Like if I was reading that and imagining that, it's way scarier what I can think of as opposed to what I'm physically seeing.
About that, and that's like a whole nother like debate or discussion with people about like whether books can be scarier than movies. And I absolutely think that they are.
Oh, they
scarier,
are.
But it all depends on if you have a good imagination.
Yeah, if you're imaginative enough to like create that scenario and really lean into it like in your own brain, like you can create things that scare you better than anyone else can
know what scares you.
Exactly. Yeah, like so if you read The Severed Head rolls down the stairway, whatever you see in your mind is going to be way scarier than what the movie can portray for you, unless you find that one movie portrayal the scariest thing.
Right. I think what I was trying to say when I was like not really agreeing with Stephen King's definitions is that he like takes words and makes them mean whatever he wants. Like horror is, like he says horror is a one of the 3 stages of terror, and I'm pretty sure terror and horror are synonyms. And
horror and terror synonyms?
I mean, that's what I think. Stephen King doesn't think so. But like you just words mean so many different things to different people.
They do. Yeah,
you can't really define horror.
Well, that's why
and that's like why so many people who make movies like Ari Aster can say this isn't a horror movie to him, but to everyone else or half the people or however many people who see it, it is a horror movie. Or like thrillers, everyone who makes a thriller wants to say that their movie isn't a horror movie or something like that, you know, or like someone who does make a horror movie, like I don't know, there's lots of horror movies out there that the creators don't want to call it that, but I think it's just because of the stigma against horror movies about people who don't like them or people who just think that they're trash. They don't want to be associated with them, and that's another reason.
I mean, like, yeah, well, because I mean, you could say the word tree, right? And everyone understands what a tree is. But the picture in your head of tree and the picture of my head of tree and the picture of anyone else's head of tree, they're all going to be different trees. Right? Like the word itself, like, yes, anyone gives meaning to. So, like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I get it. Like, well, his definition of horror is not quite the same. I just feel like coming from literary terms, like, his makes sense when you're talking about books, but it's different from movies.
So, considering all that,
4.
You're going to go with 4.
I'm going with 4.
I'm going to go with...
Are you going to rate higher than me?
Something higher than 4.
You're rating higher than me.
I gave Grave Encounters a 4. I know I'm not really supposed to compare these to the movies we've seen. Just supposed to go based on the fear scale.
Yeah.
But it was scarier than that.
I mean, I gave Babadook higher than this as far as scary.
Oh, shit, you did. Here, okay, we'll go ahead and average this one, and then we'll compare it to the other ones we've seen. Because I'm going to say, not even trying to remember what the other ones I've rated are, I'm going to say this movie is a 6.
I felt like you were going to give it a 6. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we got, like 5.5, something like that?
Oh, it's exactly 5.
5. Cool.
So the real fear score for this movie is a 5.
It's just for different reasons. Like, look, you got to listen to the podcast. Like, if someone just heard the score outright, they'd be like, "Yo, what?"
5.
But like, it's because I felt like the director was not outright trying to. He could have went harder. I felt him pull punches. Like he could have scared people, but he chose not to. I feel like he didn't try to scare outright.
All right, I cannot believe this. But Hereditary is the lowest score we have so far.
Oh my gosh. It's an art film!
How did you let this happen, Kordell?
Nate, listen.
I didn't expect it to be a 10. I didn't... Well, you know, I picked 6 for it. I expected it to be around that.
Maybe I'll go home and thank some old ladies in my corner.
I doubt
and we can revise
This is the type of movie I don't think will stick with you.
Probably not. I don't know. It was a good movie. It was
just pictures the Toni Collette, which is the actress, like in the corner of your bedroom while you're trying to sleep.
And
she's like crawling through the air. We'll see. Okay, so the lowest is Hereditary. Second lowest is Grave Encounters, which was a 5.6. And then we've got the Babadook at a 6. The Stranger's at a 6.75, and then Oculus is still number 1 at a 7.75.
Hot damn.
Maybe we've just gotten tougher on grading since the first episode.
I mean, like, I want to get, like, okay, I can see how this movie is far scarier. But that, I don't know. I just took it differently.
I understand. Yeah, it could be accurate because some people, like I said, don't even think of it as a horror movie. And they don't think it's scary at all. So 5 might not be so bad.
I mean, it was shocking. Like, if we were doing a horror scale, yo, that's I was shocked the whole time. I was like, what is happening? But, like, it's not a confused shock. Like, it was like everything would subverted expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. It was just really well done. It was a good movie. It was much better. It was probably the best movie that I have watched with you. Like, yeah.
That we've seen on the podcast so far?
The best movie that we've seen on the podcast so far, like, just movie-wise. It was very, very good. But
I could see that. I don't think so, but I could see that, too.
Just how I feel.
That's just because I'm in love with Oculus, and I can't stop.
Oculus was really good. It was a really good movie, but I don't know. Like, this one is more up my alley as far as good goes, I guess.
You like the art house films?
I guess so. I guess I like the art house films. I mean,
we just watched The Witch. I didn't. I don't remember I was going to admit this. I didn't like The Witch. I don't think I was planning on admitting that on the podcast. Like, it was interesting, but we can't talk about it because you haven't seen it. But it's an art house film, A24, and it's very similar to this. And so is Midsommar, but I really loved Midsommar. And I really love this movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
If you really like this movie, I do recommend Midsommar. It's the second one for this director.
Yeah. I was very nervous, and, like, I stayed nervous, but I wasn't as, like, it wasn't, like, a tense. Like, the growing dread hits me differently than just, like, an intense, like, fear, like, or, like, jump scares or anything like that. Like, the growing dread but it was purposeful dread. Like, I don't know. Like, it led up to something that I don't quite understand, but I feel like does mean something. Like, based off the little I know about mythology and, you know, lore and stuff like that. Like, it meant something.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand it. I'll probably research it later, but no, it's
good. You research it. We'll talk about it on the next episode.
Yeah, we will.
Cause
yeah,
that way I don't have to research it. You can just tell me about it.
I'll do it. No problem.
That'll be good.
Cool.
So poor Hereditary though. Yeah. Got such a low score.
It was a good movie. It was a better movie.
You're right. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No. It's not.
Movie.
Like, just because it wasn't the scariest thing does not mean that it was a bad movie. This was a good movie.
It does mean we have to continue our search though for the scariest movie ever made elsewhere. So hope you all come back and join us next time while we continue to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just be afraid.
Be very afraid. Real Fear is a Moonlight Media production, available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, as well as the Moonlight Media YouTube channel.